So good to see you up and functioning, Jennifer.
It's absolutely great to be up and functioning.
Ready, Chad? You ready? Okay, everybody's ready to get started?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
No, everybody's good on it? Okay, we call the Plaquemines Parish School Board rescheduled date Monday, December 14th via Zoom platform. Join Zoom meeting R. And I gotta read this meeting ID 864-7622-1601, passcode 5I-EZAJ. And on March 13th, 2020, the governor of Louisiana issued a proclamation 27 JBE 2020 declaring a public health emergency in response to the COVID-19 outbreak in Louisiana. Whereas Louisiana Act 302 and additional measures to ensure public safety and limit the spread of COVID-19 were further enacted on November 2nd, 2020 by Proclamation 159 JBE 2020. The Plaquemines Parish School Board therefore hereby certifies that the order to protect the welfare of the citizens of Louisiana in order to ensure the presence of a quorum of board members, it is necessary to conduct the meeting on Monday, December 14th, 2020 in a virtual setting. Therefore, in accordance with Proclamation 159 JBE 2020, the Louisiana Legislative Act 302, in consideration of the safety, well-being of board members, staff, community, directed impacted by the COVID-19 public emergency, the December meeting will convene remotely via teleconference and video comments. So we'll start with item 1 called the order. Well, we just did that. So the invocation by Ms. Monica Wertz, and then we'll have the pledge by Mr. Bateman.
If you would please bow your heads. Dear God, I end this year with a simple prayer. Please heal the broken people, make well the sick, restore happiness to those in despair, bring love to the lonely, food to the hungry, and peace to our world. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
flag
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then we'll move on to item 1.03, roll call and declaration of quorum. Mr. Superintendent.
Darren Damari Turner,
Here.
Daniel Morrell,
Here.
Nico Tasevich,
Here.
Joyce Lampley,
Here.
Shane Myers,
Here.
Fran Bobby Martinez,
Here.
Bobby Ingram,
Here.
Paul Lemire,
Here.
and Jennifer Sanger.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to item 1.04, approval of the agenda. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a motion by Ms. Lampkin,
I'll second.
Second.
seconded by Ms. Martinez? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Okay, now we'll move on to item 1.05, nomination of officers for 2021. We'll start off. Do we have any nominations for president?
I would like to nominate Daniel Morrell for president.
I would like to nominate Nico Tesvich for president.
And I would like to nominate Darrell DeMille Turner for president.
Okay, do we have any more nominations for president? And this will be open at next month's meeting. Also, if anyone, anyone else wants to nominate someone. But as of right now, we have Daniel Morrell, Nico Tesvich, and Darrell Turner. So if we don't have any more nominations for president, we'll move on to vice president.
I'd like to nominate Nico Tesvich for vice president.
I would like to nominate Jennifer Sanger for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Shane Myers, vice president.
I would like to nominate Fran Martinez for vice president.
Okay, do we have any more nominations for vice president? Hearing none, we're gonna have Nico Tesvich, Ms. Sanger, Ms. Myers, and Ms. Martinez. And like I said, next month's meeting, we can have more people nominated, and that's when we're gonna vote. But if we have any, don't have any more now, we'll move on to parliamentary.
I'd like to nominate Paul Lemaire.
I would like to nominate Nico Tesvich for parliamentarian.
Okay. Okay, do we have any more nominations for parliamentarian?
I would like to nominate Jennifer Sanger.
Okay, any more for parliamentarian? If not, we can have more nominations next month, but as of now, we have Paul Lemaire, Nico Tesvich, and Jennifer Sanger nominated. Okay, we'll move on to executive committee member.
I would like to nominate Paul Lemaire for the executive committee.
I would like to nominate Jennifer Sanger for executive committee.
I would like to nominate Ms. Joyce Lampkin.
Okay, do we have any more nominations for executive committee member? Hearing no more at this time, we have Paul Lemaire, Jennifer Sanger, and Joyce Lamb nominated. And like I say, all of these we can nominate at the next meeting, and the next meeting will be when we vote on it. So if we have no more nominations, we'll move on to 1.06 ad hoc and standing committee reports.
I have one.
Okay, Ms. Lamb?
Executive committee. The minutes of the meeting of the Executive Committee of the Plaquemines Parish School Board held on Tuesday, December 1st, 2020 at Woodland Central Office. Members present were Paul Lemaire, Darrell DeMille Turner, Joyce Lampkin, and Dennis Roussel. Others present were Nico Tesvich, Fran Martinez, Ronald Bateman, Shane Myers, Ronald White, and Sonia Duplessis. The meeting was called to order at 5:05 p.m. The first items on the agenda for discussion and proposed adoption were new policies presented to the committee with input from Superintendent Roussel and Ronald Bateman, Director of Student Services, specifically Act 48 virtual instruction. Act 48 virtual instruction BCAD teleconference, remote participation in school board meetings, EFE business continuity, and technology disaster. The following items on the agenda for discussion for review were due into action of the 2020 Louisiana Legislature session marked by an asterisk. CED, employment of superintendent. DJED, bids and quotations. DJE, purchasing. JBH, attendance report for student drivers. JGCE, child abuse. The presented items were recommended for adoption to the board. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 5:58 PM.
Okay, I have one for the Personnel Service Committee. Minutes of the meeting of the Personnel Service Committee of the Plaquemines Parish School Board held on December 1st, 2020 at Woodland Central Office. Members present were Shane Myers, Chair, Paul Lemaire, Joyce Lampkin, and Fran Bailey Martinez. Others present were Nico Tesvich, Darylyn Demal Turner, Dennis Roussel, Ronald White, and Sonia Duplessis. The meeting was called to order at 6:03 PM. The only item on the agenda was a discussion of the cost to the school board for retirees' health insurance and whether a minimal period of employment with the school board should be required before the school board pays its share of the health insurance premiums. The committee discussed various issues and came up with a working plan of requiring a minimum of 5 years of employment immediately prior to retirement for the school board to pay any of the premium costs, with a sliding scale up to 10 years when the school board would pay all of its share of the premiums equal to what it pays for active employees. The working plan would grandfather all current retirees and employees and would only affect those employees who begin their employment at or shortly after the passage of the new policy. The committee discussed various other issues, including whether the plan would be affected by an employee who takes disability retirement and whether an employee should receive any credit for earlier employment by the school board, not immediately prior to retirement. The committee decided to discuss the issue again in January 2021 and attempt to pass a new policy at its February school board meeting. In the meantime, Ms. Duplessis and Mr. White would research other school districts' policies and some of the other issues involved. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 6:33 PM.
Mr. White, you want to read the minutes of the finance committee, please?
Minutes of the meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee of the Plaquemines Parish School Board held on November 9th, 2020 at Del Chase Primary School. Members present were Joyce Lampkin, Chair, Paul Lemaire, Fran Bailey Martinez, Dennis Roussel, and Ronald White. Others present were Danny Morrow, Jennifer Sanger, Nico Tesvich, Darylyn Demal Turner, Monica Wertz, Sonia Duplessis, Linda Hazel, Plaquemines Parish Assessor, and Wayne Hussein, PPSB's health insurance agent. The meeting was called to order at 4:30 PM. First item on the agenda was a discussion by Mr. White of the current cash position of the school board. Mr. White stated that he's in the process of consolidating all the available cash and investments into the general fund account, and that the total was $6 million. Mr. White stated that even without any unusual cash receipts, the current cash balances and the regular monthly revenues would be enough to cover all expenditures until January of 2021, when property tax revenues would be received. Mr. White further discussed the ongoing work being done to recover the FEMA funds owed to the school board. The next item on the agenda was a discussion by Mr. White and Mr. Hussein of the health insurance renewal for the employees and retirees. The administration had held a meeting a few days earlier with representatives of the various departments and had presented them with their proposal, which would change the plans offered to something a little less generous, which would result in much lower premiums than the current plan. The result would be an overall rate increase of 1.8%, which would be shared by the school board and the employees and retirees. The additional cost of the school board would total approximately $122,000 a year, much less than the more than $500,000 a year cost to the school board if the current plans were renewed. After discussion, the committee was satisfied with the administration's proposal and planned to approve it at the regular school board meeting. The next item on the agenda was a discussion by Ms. Hazel of the renewal of the visual lease services contract with the assessor's office for 1 year at a cost of $250,000, which the parish property tax recipients share the cost of. Ms. Hazel explained the benefits gained from the work of visual lease and that their work has resulted in additional tax revenue, which has far exceeded the cost of their contract. After discussion, the committee was satisfied with the proposal and planned to approve it at the regular school board meeting. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 5:55 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. White. Do we have any more committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to Plaquemines Parish School Board recognitions and or presentations.
None at this time.
We don't have none at this time, so we'll move on to item 3, board members' time for non-agenda and agenda items. Does anyone have anything? Anyone say?
I'd just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas
Thank you.
and a safe New Year and pray. And I pray that our COVID numbers start going down.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I would like to, hope, send prayers that all of Plaquemines Parish bounces back. I'm glad that we have Jennifer back and that she's doing better. And just pray for everyone fighting COVID. And wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hopefully we come back in January and our students can be in the classrooms. And also congratulate the Belle Chase High School cross-country teams. The boys won state again, and I know the girls did well as well. So congratulations to the cross-country team.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'd like to congratulate the Belle Chase High School football team and the South Plaquemines High School football team for winning their first round playoff games. We kind of got COVID knocked out in the second round, and Belle Chase ran into a buzzsaw, but we're very proud of our athletes. And again, Merry Christmas to everyone and Happy New Year, and God bless everyone. And I'd also, I hate to forget these people, but all of the administrators and Ms. Sonia for all the hard work, and Nurse Becky for you going way above and above, your duties. And Superintendent, we appreciate your whole crew, Ms. Words, Mr. White, everyone, Mr. Kenny, Ms. Ritz, Chad, for hanging in there and keeping us on this camera tonight. And, if we have nothing else, we'll move on to board members' discussion and appropriate action with regard to revisions and adoption of school board policy. Made the second reading. New policies, BCAD, which is teleconference remote participation in school board meetings. EFE, business and continuity and technology disaster. And then revised policies, CED, employment of superintendent. DJED, bids and quotation. DJE, purchasing. JBH, attendance report for student drivers. And JGCE, child abuse.
I would like to make a motion that we approve these policies for the Plaquemines Parish School Board and waive the second reading.
Second,
We have a motion by Mr. Testridge, seconded by Ms. Lampkin.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the administration? Or the audience at home?
I just wanted to let the audience at home know, I was at the executive committee meeting, and each of these different policies was vetted. We had discussion on every single one of them. We looked at the language. We looked at the verbiage. It was a long meeting, and we got through it, and we all looked at it and asked plenty of questions to the administration about these policies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lynn, do we have anyone?
Yes, sir. No comment.
Okay, we have no comments. I'll ask, we call for question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none. Motion passes. Thank you. I will move on to superintendent's comments and reports. Mr. Russo.
Thank you. 4.01, we deferred, but before we go into 4.02, I have Nurse Becky here, and doing the information item, which is number 6, I'm gonna ask the board, concerning any questions that you may have for myself or, Nurse Becky concerning, the virus and what we're doing for that virus. And then I have a couple of questions that I'll ask Nurse Becky. That way she can kind of explain a couple of situations that may not be clear to some of the community members. But at this time, 4.02, discussion of appropriate action in regard to establishing a discipline policy review committee as required by LARS 17416.8. I'm just asking the board to approve this so that we can develop a review discipline committee to follow that act.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Myers,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Teskich. Okay,
It was me and Daniel. Take your pick.
okay, well, it's kind of delayed action on my end, but we have a motion in a second. Do we have any discussion from the board? From the administration? And do we have any comments coming in from the public? Okay, hearing none, we'll we'll go call for question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank you, board. 4.03, discussion of appropriate action in regard to modify the percentage of LEAP 2025 test course grade from 25 to 15%. Dr. Rich.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Myers,
Second,
second
Joyce,
by Ms.
Ms.
Lamb.
Lankin.
Okay, Ms. Ritz, you wanna, speak?
Sure. Thank you so much. A couple of months ago, you all approved the pupil progression policy. Within it, in the template address is the percentage of what used to be called the end of course test is now called LEAP 2025 for the high schoolers. It's a recommendation of anywhere between, I believe, 10 to 25% that we pick of what is going to be the part of the child's final grade, the semester grade. So if a child takes, for example, English 1, you take quarter 1, quarter 2, and then a percentage of whatever they would score on a sliding scale that the state designs, whatever the number is, equates to a percentage grade, would average in. Well, in the past, we've always had 25% and it's worked beautifully for us. However, this current year, we have students, some schools not coming 5 days a week. We have some students having virtual learning. And as you know, some students are doing hybrid, different versions at a different school, and some have been quarantined. With that being said, we think it'd be more fair, instead of counting that end of course, what it used to be called, now called LEAP 2025, at 25%, we want to reduce it to 15%. We think that's a little more fair for the students.
I definitely recommend that to the board.
Okay, do we have any discussions or questions from the board?
I agree with you, Ms. Ritz.
Yes, I agree. And have y'all checked with other parishes? I mean, they may have already been at 15% instead of 25, since that's what the state allows. But
and
I'm
we
sure
have Jamie, our person, Jamie Gilliot Blanchard is our contact at the state, and she talks with other districts and keeps us informed. Students with certain disabilities, we've reduced it in the past to 5%. But the 25% has been pretty solid for us, you know, but we all agree this current year, 25 would not be a fair judgment, but we're required to count. I think it's Mr. Pekovich, is it started at 10% or is it 15 to 25?
15 to 35.
15 to 35. So we count it as a 25%.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more discussion or questions from the board? From the administration? From the public? Do we have any comments coming in from the public? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Ritz.
Thank you.
Thank you, board. 4.04, discussion appropriate action regarding the approval of CARES Act funds allocated for Head Start. Say that.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make,
Do we have a motion by Mr. Ingraham? Do we have a second?
I'll make a second.
Second by Ms. Lampkin?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Ado?
Thank you so much. This year, we've been fortunate through the CARES Act to be allocated some of the funding to Head Start. So they've asked us to get an initial narrative budget together and how we would spend that money. So we attach that to the board packet for you to look at so that you can see how we will be able to supplement what general fund would normally be paying for Head Start with some of our money to help general fund out a little bit. If you have any questions, I'm here for any questions.
Do we have any questions or comments from the board? From the administration? From the public? No one's driving in. Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? The motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Pedro.
Thank you.
Thank you, board. Mr. President, if you take 5.01, 5.02 together.
Well, what about 4.05?
Oh, I'm sorry, monthly Head Start budget. Ms. Adel.
Say you might want to speak again if someone asks a question.
That's okay. We did notice that the finance accountant has changed the format to this budget for you. It makes it a little harder to read, but if you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them.
Anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Adel.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Mr. Russo.
Thanks, Trish.
Want to take the approval of the board consent agenda altogether?
Yeah.
Okay, item 5.01, 5.02. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we
I'll
have a motion
second.
by Ms. Fran Martinez and seconded by Ms. Shane Myers. Any discussion from the board or questions? From the administration? Or from the public? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion passes. Now we'll move on to information items, item 6. And that's the one where Nurse Becky is here to answer some questions.
Yeah, what I like the board, we've been communicating with the board and our communities every week and letting them know what we're doing. But if you got any questions, we want to be as transparent as we can with it. Because of closing schools, we're quarantining people. And I want you to understand where we're coming from with this. We're using data that was gathered throughout the parish, and we're able to tell what areas have the most serious problems. But if there are any questions from the board at this time concerning the actions of the administration, I want you to ask us now so we can clarify those questions.
Well, it's not necessarily a concern for me, but maybe for some people watching. I've been seeing a lot of questions on why South Plaquemines Elementary and South Plaquemines High School have been quarantined, but not Boothville Venice Elementary. So maybe you can just clarify that for the public.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been feeling a lot of phone calls, not a lot, 6 phone calls concerning that, but Nurse Becky is going to explain to you what the numbers are in these areas, and that'll give you a good explanation on why I decided to close those 2 schools and open up Boothville, keep Boothville open at this time.
Okay, so South Park High School initially was the first school that the students had decided to do virtual based on percentages of employees as well as students that not only tested positive, but the result of community spread where we had quarantining, where we had more than 50% of the staff members quarantined due to an outbreak in the community. Then that, I guess, flooded over to South Park Elementary where our whole administration staff had to be quarantined because of positive cases in that particular school, that the whole administration staff would have to quarantine due to exposure at that facility. And then I worked well with Plaquemines Medical Center because we've just now, I don't know if the board's aware, I think y'all have been told that we just obtained 1,000 COVID-19 tests that are quick tests, 15-minute results. That is for our employees as well as children. If you're symptomatic, a nurse can send you there and you get your result right away. It's also, the results also given to us as well. So working with them, I kind of worked with them to ask about community spread as far as in what they saw in their facility. And it kind of matched what I saw in our schools. I did a breakdown of, we have a list of every student that we quarantined since the beginning of school, every teacher that we have quarantined or employee that we have quarantined from each school. And I broke that down to percentages, and it pretty much matched what the urgent care was seeing as well, to where, of course, Belchase is your higher number of positive cases. However, the combination of yours and Port Sulphur zip codes equals that of Belchase in the last 2 weeks. To where Boothville, we saw a much lower percentage of positive cases, and that showed as well in our schools that we've had a few quarantines, but the quarantines in that type of facility was more because of one person exposed in a classroom of children that didn't have a mask on, so we had to take the whole classroom compared to, less employees that actually worked with the students. So the employees that were at those particular schools were not employees that interact with children. It was more your secondary employees that do other things in the school system. So I would say the decision was made with him looking at staff that actually works with the children and the children that were quarantined compared to those 2 schools. South Pike Elementary and South Pike High had a high percentage of that compared to Boothville, which did not. So that's what the decision was based on. And it was backed up by the percentages given to me by Plaquemines Medical Center as well.
Any other questions?
Thank you for that.
I was wondering about, I know Mr. Lemire talked about how the South Plaquemines football team, had to exit the playoffs because of COVID. What's the status on the other, not academic, what's the status on the other athletic teams in the parish right now?
We also had a basketball team that had to be also quarantined right at the same time as the football team at South Park High School. So that's the current ones that are current that I know of.
I think they're good to go now.
Yes.
They just came off of quarantine.
Yeah, the basketball team.
Yeah, the same time as football, and they were like back to back.
Right.
So athletics is carrying on as normal right now.
Yes.
We also had
This time.
a wrestling team
Right.
also at Belchase High School.
Yeah. That's the only ones right now that I think is quarantined, and the cheerleaders. But I think they're probably out of the quarantine by now.
I think today.
Close.
Today.
But one person, Nico, gets it, and they're around everybody, the whole team or whatever has to suffer. And, just like with the football team, one young man had, but they're all in the locker room together. They all ride the bus to the games together. So, we got to go by the guidelines and try to save lives.
Right, with sports teams, the guidelines are a little different than in the classroom setting. If you do if you do a lot of face-to-face contact, whether it's 15 minutes or not, they don't have masks on when they're participating in the sport. So they immediately say the whole team, if you haven't social distanced them, to, like dividing team into groups of kids that practice. But when you do games and things like that, you have to pretty much take out the whole team at a time.
So
And,
how does that work with like the bus? Say if somebody's positive on the bus, how do y'all?
For athletes or just in general?
No, in general.
Okay, on our bus, we just mandated, Mr. Ruth, just mandated that everybody has to wear a mask. And part of that decision was made because prior to everyone having to wear a mask, if some wore masks and some didn't, or if nobody wore masks, we had to take out the whole bus because of, the closeness of the bus and the kids on a drive, on a daily basis. But with masks going now, talking with the LDH, the Department of Health, the physician I work with, says you just do the 6-foot radius on the bus for the positive person. So if it's your bus driver, it would be 2 seats back and 2 seats over. If it's a student on the bus, it's 2 seats forward, 2 seats back, and 3 seats on the side. And that was measured out by tape measure, because you have to do the 6-foot radius around that student. So that's
Okay.
how it's determined.
Thank you for clearing.
So I had made a suggestion to the principal about sanitizing balls after each quarter during the basketball games, and then having each team wash their hands after each quarter, so that way it can cut down on the germs and the spread of germs with the balls. Maybe y'all can pass that on.
That's a good suggestion, Darrell.
Yeah. Okay, do we have any more questions or comments about?
I had one more thing. I wanted to know about our technology resources. Are we able to keep up with our technology resources as far as supporting the virtual learners we have?
Definitely. Yes, we are. Yeah.
Okay, any more comments? Do we have any questions from citizens? Okay. So do we have any citizens comments?
We don't. We do not have any citizens comments.
Okay. Okay, the date and time and location of our next meeting will be January 11th at Phoenix High School, if things get better. If not, we'll have to do virtual again, but that's the plan. So Monday, January 11th, 2021 at Phoenix High School. And again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. And do we have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Lampkin, seconded by Ms. Myers for adjournment. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Lord.
you.
Stay safe.
Be safe out there, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.